Like me, you might be very interested in past lives. I find them rather fascinating and have written quite extensively about them. So I'm going to share what I've written because I think you might like listening to it. We've lived before on Earth and in other dimensions, and reincarnation is real. Although we know it on a soul level, others in our society do not believe past lives exist. And I think you'll find that if you start talking out at a barbecue or somewhere with other people, they might just look at you like you're strange. In some circles, the belief is that we are living our past lives on the same timeline, which means that the present and the past lives are running next to each other. So whatever we do in one life directly affects the others. I know they exist because I see them like a video in my mind and the pictures of the people in the past lives. It's wonderful to see the different fashions and their surroundings. Like me, you might have seen flashes of your past lives and know where and when you lived before. Past life experiences and memories are contained in our soul energy, in our soul body. We carry every experience in our aura, and the information is retained through the ages. So the feeling of having visited a place before is real. Maybe we lived there or frequented the area centuries ago. Our earth world often remains the same as in the past. The old church in England may have been there for centuries, and when we enter, just like we've been there before, it all feels very familiar. We've been in that building in a past life, and sometimes, if I've ever had that, I had that once in Europe, I got goosebumps or shivers when I was revisiting it. I actually cried when I left the church. I had so much emotion around it. Our past lives hold our gifts, our illnesses, our phobias, and a lot of our unresolved emotions. They retain the memories of people we have lived with and the relationships we had before. For example, our present day mum might have been our brother before, or our son was our uncle. The previous connections often affect the dynamics of today's relationships, and you can see them playing out sometimes. I've seen them playing out when people are being like the son is treating the mother like he's the father, and I suspect that then in those situations he was the father to her in another life. Understanding past lives helps us to explain our present life. So there is a storehouse of information if we can access them. I suspect that if you are listening to this podcast, that you are actually an old soul. Old souls have lived many lives on earth, not just in other dimensions. So it's easy to see an old soul in the eyes of a child. They have a wisdom and intensity beyond that of the child. Often they speak in an adult way and relay messages. Old souls bring in a wealth of information and understanding. Having lived countless incarnations, have a wide and deep knowledge of life and people. Their past lives contain lessons and they have followed a common path. Healers tend to choose various healing lives. This includes holistic and also Western medicine. Psychic people continue to use and improve their gift in each life. And scientifically and mathematical souls follow similar ways. Been a midwife or a herbalist, a surgeon, and a witch in your past lives. I find a common thread when I read the cards for someone. I see them as different workers but in similar fields. We bring in our gifts and manifest them in the new lives, and our wealth of knowledge is used and extended through every life. Usually we have a calling to do our work and a strong, strong drive to do it. There is a familiar and passionate interest. Old souls continue to seek and learn and expand their knowledge, and in their chosen field they seek to become better and more skilled. While they draw on their past, they add more during every incarnation. In our present life, we have friends and family who share our interests in the same areas. Perhaps in a previous life we worked together. We choose our parents because they support us in continuing in a certain profession. Healers are born into families of doctors and nurses. Musicians have assistance from their musical parents. And scientists choose parents to encourage their ventures. Many times our families have lived these past lives with us and we're working in a similar field. Having past lives to draw on makes us a rich source of information. Our understanding of how people operate and the way the world works makes us wise. We have learned a great deal and quickly assess and figure out situations. The patterns of behaviour in others are known to us and nothing surprises us. We have seen it all before. The language of old souls is unique. They say it as it is, and are usually right. They give sound advice and allowing others to decide in the end. They still have a very strong and way of saying it almost in a nutshell. They also have patience and understanding, and that often supersedes young souls. Old souls speak in a concise manner. They give us the overview or a solution in a few short sentences and get to the point quickly. This is particularly noticeable with children. Their wisdom and eloquence is astonishing. The answer comes from their mouths, and it is perfect. The eyes of old souls are intense and knowing. When they look at us, we may feel examined due to their probing gaze. They are gathering information while we speak and forming a conclusion. Their responses are helpful and full of insight. There may be less ego with old souls. They have knowledge, and they have nothing to prove and no one to impress. However, with more knowledge, the reverse can happen. They may appear to be arrogant because in most cases, they will be right. With our families, we tend to think they were chosen for us, but we actually chose them. We worked out the roles we would play and the karma needed to be burnt. Our soul groups can be similar, but the roles will be different. We choose to be parents, siblings and grandparents or friends in our current life. In former lives, we may have been the dad and now we are the daughter. And by reversing the roles, we begin to understand the various relationships within one family unit. It is really like being in a play and performing the various parts. In this life, I am the mother, but I know that one of my sons was my father before. He talks like I am his child and did so as a young person. The relationship we share is close and our past lives are reflected in this one. The role reversal serves to teach us our lessons in a safe environment, and our previous encounters create a firm foundation for us. When we have shared a harmonious family life, it is easy. However, a strained family past lives are replayed again. Perhaps we were the child and were rebellious and wayward, then now we are the parent of a rebellious child. The lessons are reversed. There is karma between families, and it is played during our lives together. A dutiful mother returns karma with her daughter, who cared for her during her years of sickness in another life. Some families are all about the lessons. There are challenges, drama, and difficulties, and young and old souls are placed in one family, and this makes for great learning. The old souls have worked with their young family members. Sometimes the ones who were previously in a power position are now the baby, and the shift of power brings disharmony and fighting. Families are about love and power. When we come from either, and how we come from these two areas affects the unit. Most families have a sprinkling of each type of person. The love people struggle to understand and communicate with the power members. Likewise, the power ones want to rule and do it their way, and the two approaches make for a divided family quite often. It is like an opposite way of living. Getting along is never easy, and many families separate once they are adults. Once the grandparents, father or mother pass, the families actually disintegrate. The dynamic alters and it allows everyone to do as they please. And with the energy of the significant person gone, the families cannot function as before. It may be straight after the deaths or in the following years. Power dynamics and playing favourites destroy relationships, and jealousies between families cause problems and constant fights. Only unconditional love keeps the unit together and enables us to remain together amicably. New souls have not had many lives on earth, and their experiences are more limited, and they have chosen to come here to learn. We have to start somewhere, and our paths are varied. However, a new soul does not mean they're not without expertise. Some come from other galaxies to share their knowledge, and they extend their understanding of other dimensions. Alien ideas and creations originate from them, and they make further progress on Earth. Since the emergence of the technological age, new souls have been appearing. Their skills are valuable, and the innovators' ideas often unique, and they offer exciting and new solutions to world problems. Coupled with their contribution, they learn how to live on Earth. Socially, they find it stressful and are often loners or choose reclusive lives. Their views are unusual and the social norms and structures confuse them. Young souls are drawn to the worst aspects of human life sometimes, including excessive drinking and drugs. Money and status of importance, their ego guides them, and material gain excites them. They are like children running free in a lolly shop. Perhaps in other sojourns, the same delights were non-existent, and now it is party time. They are here to have a good, fun time. It is a hedonistic life. However, while new souls explore the seedier aspects of Earth, they continue to share their gifts from other dimensions. Often their lives are shorter, and like a shooting star, they burn out quickly. They stay until their work is completed. During their time on Earth, they learn how human relationships work. Lacking the intuitive understanding of old souls, they stumble their way through and make mistakes, and after several incarnations, they settle into life and begin to get wisdom from others. Old souls are wise, whereas new ones are learning and imparting information. Other dimensions vibrate at a higher rate, while our world vibrates more slowly, and the drop in energy affects new souls. The denseness of Earth is foreign and heavy after being in a lighter dimension. Therefore, they are drawn to anything that raises their energy, like drugs and excitement in various forms, and taking risks and living on the edge is more familiar energetically. A young man who was a new soul and vibrating highly visited a psychic. He was perplexed because every few months he needed to get drunk and smoke marijuana and then not again for ages. She explained to him that it helped to steady his vibration and assist with his ability to function in the earth energy. It dulled his aura somewhat and enabled him to work here. Like a young child, everything is new at first. Experimenting is needed to know how it feels, and while we do certain things, old souls come in with pre-knowledge and soul memories, and their transition into every life becomes easier. Human life is different to life in other dimensions, and it takes many years and mistakes to get it right. Coming to Earth from another dimension is challenging, and the learning curve is steep. We have all been young souls working our way through our lives here. Our choices to come to Earth were personal and karmic. Sometimes we fulfilled our lessons and moved on. Other times we had to return and keep doing it until we learned the lessons. Souls tend to redo life after life until they complete the learning. It is the karma they make for themselves. However, as their wisdom increases, they gain understanding and become old souls. Old souls bring a wealth of wisdom, while new souls bring a wealth of invention. Intuitively, we know whether we are an old or a young soul. The old souls are easy to spot. They have a quiet, knowing, and extensive past to draw from. New souls struggle to fit in and seem ill at ease on this plane. They question how and why we operate in the manner we do, and offer new ways to approach old problems. In my next video, I will talk about more past lives, especially the gifts. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy thinking back and maybe working out what past lives you had. Goodbye, love and light.